Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to Street Soldiers Radio on 106.1 Kim Yale. Keeping you alive and free is Dr. Marshall, Dr. Joe Marshall, that is.
Yeah, that was good, man. That was good. That was very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Football Mike. Good evening, everybody. Alive and Free Radio one more time. Street Soldiers, the ones, the only, the original, playing a little music and saying, saving a lot of lives. Wonderful show for you this tonight. It is Mental Health Month. May is Mental Health Month, so we got a show dealing with mental health. That's what we're going to do this evening. First, we got to say hello to everybody, but I guess they're busy, so they can't say hi. Hi, Ann.
We can say good evening.
Say hi real quick. But Mike already said hi, so that's it. All right, that's it. Okay.
Oh, Mike did a great job with the introduction. He's a natural. That was great. Thank
Lady
you, Mike.
May join us. She's not feeling well. She don't know if she'll be here or not, but hopefully she will be here. If not, I got it. And I can't. Oh, Lord, I ain't got nobody. They busy. I ain't got nobody to talk to. I can't do my little repartee. Can we at least get an update on the series, the Laker Warriors series? How you feeling about it right now, my man?
I feel good.
Good. Okay.
Weirdly good, because that blowout was, I mean, great win by the Lakers.
Yeah.
No excuses on my behalf.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't feel like we really got blown out. But
Okay.
I don't know how everybody else feels. That's just my take.
Well, it's been two blowouts. One by the Warriors and one by the
really
Lakers.
Blew y'all out.
Oh, I
don't
see.
feel like y'all blowout was like. I feel like y'all blowout was kind of assisted. So I'm not gonna go there because I don't like to go there. But at the same time, I feel some type of way, and I think that we're a better team than what we're showing. I think that honestly, because this is just my 2 cents.
It's worth more than 2 cents.
It's 10 seconds.
10, yeah.
You guys were tired in the third quarter. I'm
Lakers
so
were
mad.
tired
I'm
in
so
the third
mad
quarter.
that the Warriors didn't at least just keep the game close, just to wear them out more.
Yeah.
Because you guys kind of got off the hook. Like whatever happened, we lost our composure, and then things happened. But it is what it is.
Biggest
Great
game of the series is tomorrow night.
Some people say it would be game 3, but I agree, because when you got a split series, it's this game. You're right.
Yeah, you're right, because the Warriors don't want to go down 3-1, and the Lakers don't want to get back home court advantage. So, yeah. All right.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I mean, it's 2 good series for the Warriors. Sacramento and the Lakers, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. All right, we're going to do a little news. And my guest here, what's up, my brother? You here? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Did you have your Cinco de Mayo beverage today?
You're not gonna go into that, yeah.
Oh, well, that's not a stereotype, you know. It's St. Patrick's have beverages, you know. Okay. All right. Got it. Got you. Oh, old school, yeah. Yeah, that's all you need to hear is old school. Old school R&B, that's right. Let's do some news real quick. I got announced right at the top. Bay Area baseball legend, Vida Blue, San Francisco Giants, Oakland A's pitcher died today. Did you know that?
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
Vida died.
Wow.
Yep.
What?
Vida, yes.
Wow.
At the age of 73. Young man. I can attest to that. yeah. Did you know? And the Giants, right. Did you ever? Did you know Vida, Mike?
I didn't know Vida.
I knew him. He's a great guy. Absolutely wonderful guy. But it's hard to believe, really. It don't make no crazy.
I think honestly we not playing to our capabilities and we're playing down. But you guys are great. I mean, the Lakers are a great team. They're a big team. I mean, but I don't know. I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. Not nervous at all. We got the chef.
Look, man, it's fun. It's great basketball, man. It is wonderful. Wonderful. If you're an NBA fan, you can't ask for nothing
exactly.
better. And I'm an NBA fan.
I love it.
I'm an NBA fan. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that cool? Did you hear that? Bronny's going to SC.
That's tight. I mean, you're not getting a scholership, right?
Yeah, what do you mean he's not getting a scholarship?
To somebody else, man.
Come on, man. Now, come on, man. He's getting a basketball scholarship.
No,
he's a basketball player.
Sometimes you don't need a scholarship.
You wrong, man. You gonna punish LeBron? You gonna punish him because he's a ball player.
Man, he's a billionaire already.
His dad is a billionaire. Although he ain't doing bad in the NIL. I seen the Bronny commercials. He's doing good. But look, that's eligible, open for everybody,
his dad
man.
has a school that automatically gets kids into college.
That's right.
So he good. We good. That's a beautiful thing, though.
Congratulations, man. And like any other proud father, he said he believes that this will be the first James, member of the James family, James clan, as he put it, who's going to college.
Wow, that's true.
That's great, man. That's great. And I know exactly. I mean, you see him, man. He's just as proud as can be. And he said, SC is great, the kid. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, sir.
He has good.
I remember when you got accepted to Howard. Yeah. I love that.
You was happy?
Heck yeah. No, it was me. All three of them was me.
Okay. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's okay.
See, they can see he could have gave you that scholarship.
2 Howards and 1 Stanford. Okay, but hey, that's what dads are for.
Yeah, straight up.
Down news, another mass shooting.
Oh man. Is that news now?
Unfortunate news, yeah. And they say this guy may have had some ties to neo-Nazi views, the whole bit. Crazy as I don't know what. Texas. 8 dead. Shooting some kids. He just went in there and started blasting. So it's I don't even like. Well, yeah. Ann knows I don't like mentioning him. I don't like doing it. But if you don't say anything about him, but
Yeah.
Only in America. I say only in America. And member of the Proud Boys was convicted of seditious conspiracy, and in the Capitol attack.
Wow.
That is wonderful, 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 wonderful. Is that wonderful?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I guess says it's wonderful also. Lock them up. Lock them up. All right. So you got a couple too. You got a couple. Let's do those real quick. You have a couple. I think there's one on. What is it? Reparations? What did you say? I don't have your news pulled up. Here we go. Yep. 86 as acceptances. $10 million. Yeah.
That's amazing.
$10 million in scholarship offers. Yep. He's a brother from Louisiana. I think he's from New Orleans. I'm not exactly sure. Okay. And what else we got here? All right. You got California Reparations Panel. Oh, we got to do a show on reparations. We got to do a show on reparations. California Reparations Panel okays state apology and payments. California's Reparations Task Force voted Saturday to approve recommendations on how the state may compensate and apologize to black residents for generations of harm caused by discriminatory policy. It goes on to say a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I get asked about this a lot, Jamila, by other folks. How you feel about reparations? And I have a simple answer. I don't say anything. I say I'm still waiting on the 40 acres and the mule we were promised. So back in the day, you know how things were looking for us if we really got 40 acres and a mule?
Yeah, it'd be very different.
So, I mean, anything that comes after that, I'm fine with. I'm like, oh, you said we was going to get 40 acres and a mule, right, when slavery was over. So, yeah. All right. That's all I got, sir. We'll see. 40 acres and a mule. We will see. All right. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to move into the topic of our show, and it's a term that is now, and when I talk to the young people at the club, I asked them their major concerns now, a little bit different than they were years ago. And the top two at the top of the list are always, well, not always, but lately, how's that?
Yep.
Have been social media and mental health.
Oh, wow.
Social media and mental health. And that's changed from when you were there, honey.
Yes.
And you're right, exactly. And the reason they mentioned because there's a relationship, as many therapists and psychologists have said, that social media is exacerbates or is a detriment to mental health. And so I don't know how mental health, and do you know how mental health awareness month came about, or they just designate this month and did they write a, that's like, don't look it up.
I don't know that one.
Don't look it up.
Okay.
Well, we're going to delve and going to do a couple shows in May. Next week we got Mother's Day, so we can't do it next week. But we're going to do a couple shows this month specifically on mental health. And tonight we're going to look exclusively at one aspect of mental health, and that is bipolar disease. And to help us do that, we have a young lady in the studio who is a very brave and loving soul.
Yes.
Who has actually, this is her second time on the show talking about her battle with bipolar. And yeah, it was great. And she called me Monday and said, Dr. Marshall, I think I'm ready to come on and, can talk about it again and even give an update. So I said, okay, thank you, baby. Thank you, Jamila. Thank you, Jamila. Because it's a huge problem. I don't think it's nearly enough attention. And there's a lot of mystery surrounding it, as you all know. So, your personal conversation and testimony about this is we're so thankful for you to do that. So let me give the number, because if there's any questions, I'm going to take your calls during the first hour. 877-955-1061. I think that's right. 877-955-1061. 877-955-1061. If you have any questions, yes, sir.
I don't know if to answer your question, that background behind the designation of May as Mental Awareness Month. I'll see if I can find it, but we definitely know that the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
It's been observed in the U.S. since 1949.
Yep, we're going to do it. Let me introduce our guest. Let me get you close to the mic. Grab a mic, baby. This is Miss Jamila Collins. Just a wonderful human being. And hi, Jamila.
Hi, Dr. Marshall.
This is your second time on the show talking about your battle with bipolar. The first came in October. It was October 3rd, 2021. And it was just a marvelous show. I went back and watched that whole show today. And I remember I got text after that show about how brave how brave you were. And, oh, my God, we need to talk about this. And she's just this and she's just that and so and so. I mean, you really got a lot of love for that show. And we didn't get to do it on the radio that time because we weren't on the air during COVID, at the COVID period. Right. So I'm glad to revisit, to visit the topic again, to get an update from you on how things are going. But I know a lot of people didn't see it at all. So we got some clips we're going to show from it, so you won't have to go back and do the whole thing. I know your mom and your sisters are listening and watching a whole bit. But just tell people who you are, and then we'll get into you.
All right.
Get close to the mic. I'll pull it to you. There you go.
Right. Hey, everyone. My name's Jamila Collins, and I am alive and free. I have bipolar disorder. I'm not bipolar. It's an everyday struggle, and
so just that clarity. Say that because you made a distinction, and that all these distinctions are important to make because people have total non-understanding of bipolar disorder.
Okay. Well, I'm a whole human being, and having bipolar disorder is just one part of me. It's something I struggle with every day and how I live my daily life and how I function, but that's not who I am. So that's why I make the distinction that I have bipolar disorder, but that I'm not bipolar.
Got it. That's a good way to put it.
Back in October 2021, a lot has changed. I was coming toward the end of my fertility journey at the time. So I was only taking one medication that was supposedly safe to be pregnant. And in January of 2022, decided to move away from that. And so we've been on this journey of me trying to get back mentally stable, how I was prior to going on the fertility journey. Yeah. And so
one had influenced the other, obviously, right?
Well, so a lot happened. Yeah. A lot happened. So I was stable for about 7 or so years. And then in January of 2016, my fiance and I decided we wanted to try to have a child. And in doing that, I had to go off 2 of the 3 medications that I was on at the time because they were not deemed safe for pregnancy. And from from 2016 through 2021, I unfortunately I had 4 pregnancies and I lost 6 kids.
Oh my God.
So
And this is the part I really did not know this part.
yeah, I haven't talked about it a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
And so of course that trauma has had an impact on my mental health,
Yeah.
separate from my bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
However, like I said, as of January 2022, we decided to try to see if I could get back mentally stable, like how I was prior to January of 2016. That's before I went off the medications. And there was one medicine that I did, was a mood stabilizer, Lamictal. My body doesn't have a great reaction to it. It has a side effect where it makes you super sensitive to the sun. And so like for those 7 years I was mentally stable. Anytime I was outside, I was hiding from the sun. If I was on vacation, I was covered like a granny and with big hats on and all the sunscreen, and even still would wind up with these awful rashes all over, awful painful rashes all over my body. And so when I went off of Lamictal in preparation for the fertility journey back in Jan 2016, when we decided to get me back, try to go back to being mentally stable again, I didn't want to take it again, because for the 6 years that I was off of the Lamictal, I still would have that reaction to the sun, even though the medication wasn't in my body. So, for instance, was in Trinidad last June and wound up with this horrible, just red rashes on both of my legs, my thighs, my shins. I had to take Benadryl. I was like putting cups of ice on my body because I was so miserable. So there was just no way that I was going to start taking that medicine again. I was like, well, I have to find something else. So my mother, who's known as Mama Rita, when I was 11 years old, somehow she got it in her head that I was trying to not be smart and like be peer pressured into not being the smart person that I was, getting the good grades that I got. But I don't recall this. But I do know that she met Preston Worthy, and we ended up at the neighborhood house. I was 11, my sister Layla was 9, and our baby sister, I think, was 3 or 4, Rashida, at the time. And so that is how I became a part of the Omega Boys Club, and met Dr. Marshall and Dr. Norris and Miss Estelle and Jack, everyone that was so much older than me. You know, me coming in at 11, they were like my big brothers and big sisters, going away to college. It was like watching them do the different world thing. It was pretty cool. It was really cool. I knew that college, I had to go to college. Like that wasn't an option. My mother was like, you guys gotta at least get an undergraduate degree. But as far as going to an HBCU, that all happened with the Omegas that went before me. And also, like I said, Different World had a lot to do with it too.
So when she got there,
So there's no Different World really had a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I feel like it was like being at the club and then knowing that the kids were going away to school and then seeing it on TV. Yes. And it being, it was pretty cool.
You related to it.
Oh yes, absolutely. And so then I went to Hampton University, got a bachelor's of science in finance. And my sister Layla, she got a bachelor's of science in accounting from Howard.
Yep.
And then Rashida, she got a business administration bachelor's from Howard.
Wow.
So yeah, we're very blessed.
We sent all 3 sisters to college.
That's
Yes.
beautiful.
And,
Yes, we are very blessed and thankful and grateful.
And it was cute when I was just a little 11-year-old girl in there with all these gangbangers and drug dealers. And the thing she learned from them was like, I don't want to do that. That's brilliant. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right? Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I heard things like I feel like even though we grew up in Bayview Hunters Point, we were super sheltered, even still, with all that was going on. And so hearing what some of my fellow Omegas were going through and how they were living their lives with their parents or lack of thereof, and being in gangs and the drugs and just all of that, it was very eye-opening. And
it makes you appreciate what you do have.
Oh,
at
absolutely.
home. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize that you're taking your situation for granted.
Right.
Until you see that there are others that what you have isn't normal.
Yep.
You think it's normal,
right?
So then you find out that it's not.
Right.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
And being in that room, I was with you. I mean, look, wonderful. So I think we're ready. We're gonna go back and do a couple of clips from you're gonna hear a couple of clips from the first show we did, where she begins to talk about, mental health period and her whole and your discovery that you had the illness. So let's see what we got.
I've lived with bipolar disorder since my early 20s, and I'm now 44. And I just felt like it would be time right now for me to maybe share my journey. When I have told people that I, have this disorder, a lot of the time they're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, it's not something easy, to live with. I think that just the fact that if someone were to look at me 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't think that this would be something I struggle with. And so I just felt like, the more I can share, the less information will be out there about bipolar disorder. Because to me, I have always felt like people would use the terminology very, very cavalier. And it is very serious. Like there's nothing cavalier about bipolar disorder. And to still be here and not have had, long stays in a mental institution, and have for the most part been able to, carry a job and do well and, have a relationship, all of those things that, most of us want as an adult, and it's not easy. I've seen over these years, I have seen many different ways that it has manifested, like for other people. And, I just feel like there's just so much misinformation out in the world about bipolar disorder. I think I was telling Miss Estelle too, that a lot of the time when I am watching television and they broach the subject of bipolar disorder, I don't think they do a great job. Only recently, there's a show, I forget the name of it, it was on Amazon Prime. And there was an episode number 3, the girl had bipolar disorder, and it was I watched it and I was like, oh, this is like my life on screen. And, I'd never had that feeling before. I talked about it with my fiance, and he was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate, a real accurate depiction. And so, so I just, I'm just in a place where I want to share. And I'm just really very thankful Dr. Marshall thought it was a great idea to allow me to be on the platform today to discuss this.
So that was your initial conversation a couple of years ago about it. And like I said, we got so much love for you doing that. How did you feel about coming on the show, looking back on it and putting your story out there publicly?
It felt freeing.
Yeah.
I think it felt freeing.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of shame comes for mental illness, and to get to a place where you're like, F that, I'm gonna just be who I am.
Right, no matter what.
All of me, and I'm going to just be completely honest. Like, and not to say that I hid my disorder before. I just didn't really talk about it. Like, you had to be super close to me to kind of have conversations with me about it. And I
So this is crazy. I've known you all this time. You got 2004, right? I had no idea. You know, and I get that, you know, and I would see you, how many times I see you since 2004? Like 100, right? And my little Mila, I had no idea, you know, so yes. You just, you have to go through it alone?
well, it's
a difficult illness to understand also, right? That's the biggest thing.
It's very difficult to understand. And it can be lonely, especially if you don't have, even if you have a good support system, because at the end of the day, unless you live with bipolar disorder, you will never understand how hard it is. You just never will. And so while I am super, super lucky, I've got an amazing support system, family, friends, my therapist, my psychiatrist, my fiance. You know, I am super blessed because given the things I've been through, especially these last 6 years with the pregnancy stuff. I don't know how I'm not like in a padded cell somewhere. Like that, the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you guys about this blows my mind.
I don't know if you've had, well, let me ask it, what's the biggest misconception that people have about people with the disease? Because in the end, it's a disease, it's an illness, right?
Yes.
Just like any other illness. But there seems to be, is it the stigma? Is it just in your opinion? And have you had a chance to talk to others who have the illness? I'm just curious about that, also.
Okay. The biggest misconception, I would say that 98% of what you see on television about bipolar disorder is not accurate.
Okay.
Okay.
You hear that out there? You ain't getting nothing from television. All right. Okay. Great.
And I also think that you can't. Back in October 2021, when I said people use the term super cavalierly, like, oh, they're so bipolar, you know, like,
I got you.
That's
grinds
demeaning. My gears.
That's demeaning.
Yes, because it's like it's life or death.
Yeah.
It's life or death. Like, just driving over here, even though I'm functional right now and I seem completely okay, you know, I seem okay. But like, I have suicidal ideations.
Yeah.
I had them coming across the bridge today where I'm like, ooh, should I pull over? And, you know, like, had all these visions in my head. And so it's kind of like, for people to use the term just because they feel someone is being a little erratic or what they consider moody, it's like bipolar disorder has real life and death implications. And as far as other people that have it, I'm in a support group with people that have it, and I think that they agree with me about the misconceptions. And you know, it's hard for them too. It's like, it's great to be in a group with people that understand. You know, you don't have to explain anything to them. Like, oh, you know, I felt kind of manic today, and I wanted to like spend all this money, you know, and they get it, you know, versus like someone else who's not bipolar or does not have bipolar disorder would be looking at you like, what's wrong with you, you know, and just have judgment around things that you can't control.
Illness should not have judgment.
It shouldn't.
Illness. You go in the doctor's office, you get sick. The doctors don't, I just gotta say, there should be no judgment around illness.
There shouldn't.
And there is.
There's lots of
And
judgment.
that's why I know I learned so much about the disorder from listening to you that night. And it's funny. I spoke to a class up at USF just Thursday, and I told somebody else, what were you doing there? People ask me what you doing on the show Sunday, right? And I told him I was doing this topic, and he says, I'm suffering that. He says I'm gonna listen, and maybe he'll call in. And I think you just and one of the things you said actually that night was you don't know what people are dealing with and what they're going through, because I had no idea. And can we go to the next clip? Because this is what I found out that night from you, sweetheart, about about bipolar disease.
Growing up, I feel like overall I could be shy sometimes, but I was pretty, outgoing, upbeat, very high functioning person. And, I got into my early 20s and checked some boxes that were like good for someone in your early 20s. I bought a condo. I had a decent job. I had graduated from school in 4 years. I was helping to pay off my student loans that I didn't have that much of, thanks to Alive and Free Omega Boys Club. And I had a job at Charles Schwab and had taken my Series 7. Like I'd done all these things. And one day I woke up and I didn't want to get out the bed. And I was like, what is happening? And I had no appetite. And I was just melancholy. And I didn't know why. And it went on for some days. And my mom was like, Mila, what's wrong with you? What do you mean you're depressed? I was like, I just feel down. And then everybody would be like, but why? Like, you're in a great relationship, you've got money in the bank, you've got a good job, you own a condo, like you're doing all the things you're supposed to do. So what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I'm sad. I don't know why I don't want to eat. I don't know why I want to isolate and not pick up the phone when you guys call me, or why I don't want to like get off my couch for days at a time. I was like, I have no clue. So after that had gone on maybe like a week or two, I did go see a therapist for the first time. And she immediately wanted to, said that I was clinically depressed, and that I wanted to put me on medication. And so, of course, I, took that back to my mom, and she was like, absolutely not. You are nothing, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not taking no, we're not doing that. And so I was like, okay. And so then one of my other aunts stepped in, and she, talked to my mom, and she's like, Rita, let, Jamila see my therapist, who's been in, who I've, trust with my life. Let's have Mila talk to her. And if she thinks she needs to be on medication, like I would trust that. And so met with that therapist, who happens to still be my therapist today. And she definitely said I was clinically depressed. Then I had an appointment with a psychiatrist, because therapists don't give medication. You have to have a psychiatrist that will dispense medication and try to help you on that piece. And so I saw the psychiatrist. He'd given me some samples of Effexor, which is an antidepressant. And when I got home that day, all of a sudden I had all this energy. I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was vacuuming, I had the TV on, I had the radio on, and I was not tired. And I was just I was super, super productive, knocking stuff out. And my boyfriend at the time came over, and when he opened the door, he was like looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, what? And he was just like, I'm watching you. And he's like, you look like you're on DVD times 100, and I am in VHS and rewind. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not like, it was like, he said it, I got it, but I still didn't really get it. And I just felt good. And I was like, okay, well, at least I'm hungry, I'm getting all this stuff done, and it was just great. But it was like, I wouldn't sleep. Like I would sleep for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and I'd be up and good. And so when I happened to talk to a different aunt about what was happening, and that was when she said, oh yeah, you're on the manic side of it. And I was like, what? And, still didn't know what that meant. And so I was like, So then I happened to have a Sony Bio laptop back then. Oh my God, so long ago. And I Googled manic depressive, and it's, said now known as bipolar disorder. And I was reading the symptoms, and I was like, this just epiphany just happened. I was like, oh my God, this is me. And so I like printed the stuff out, took it to my mother and father. And, they were very much so like, my mom, she was very anti. She was just like, didn't want to believe that there was something wrong with her kid. I think is more of what it was for her, at least at that time. And so I had spoken to the therapist that is still my therapist today, and told her what was happening. And she asked me if I had taken those antidepressants. And I was like, no. And she's like, yeah, because something else might be going on here. And so if you are bipolar, you have to really, as far as medication, you don't want to be taking something that is a super, super strong antidepressant if you're already like an Energizer bunny, not sleep, like all that stuff because mania can be really, it can be really scary. Like there's like a mid-level, it's called hypomania, where it's not as bad or as just concerning because you really lose your impulse control. And, bad things can happen when you're manic, if you're not very self-aware of what's happening with your body, and knowing the things that you need to try to stay away from, or kind of what to do. And, that took a long time for me to kind of figure out because, everybody's different.
Again, how does it feel to listen to yourself talk about?
Yeah,
It's so weird. It's surreal and
yes.
weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I said so many times.
Mrs.
But
Stella,
what
get you.
struck me is you diagnosed yourself.
Well, I had help.
Yeah, you had help, but that's okay. That's not true. I misspoke. You went on,
Yes,
and read up on it,
I did.
and you got the information about bipolar disease yourself, and just in that is there more known about it as today than it was even 2 years ago, as far as you can tell? Or is it still sort of an unknown thing? As far as you can tell.
As far as I can tell, not much has changed.
Oh, okay.
As far as awareness around bipolar disorder.
Wow.
I think a huge light has been shined on mental health in general,
Mm-hmm.
but not necessarily bipolar disorder.
Bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
Okay. It was manic depressive when I was coming through and getting my degree, and essentially, and I don't know when the terminology exactly changed, and I don't know if it changed to describe it better or what. I don't know what it was, but I remember you talking about the manic phase and the I guess it's the depressive phase and the swings and the highs and lows that are there. But the one thing I did write down is the question, what's wrong with you? As if you can say,
Right, like you know.
Like you know.
It's like I'm just living, I'm just being in this place. I don't know what's wrong with me. And and it was just nuts because a lot of times too, people don't understand, like they try to talk to, like when I'm having a depressive episode,
Mm-hmm.
people, like if someone asks me how I am, I'm at a place in my life where if I am depressed, I'll just tell them, like, don't ask me how I'm doing if you don't really want to know.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of
people do that to be like polite,
Yes.
but they don't really want to know.
Exactly. So it's just kind of like,
Ask the question. Oh yeah, ask the question.
Yeah, how you doing? What you really want to know? No, I don't really want. Because
Right.
yeah.
yeah.
So I will say, like, I'm depressed or I'm in a depressive episode. Like I'm very out there
Straightforward.
these days. And so when someone, so sometimes people will try to tell me like, oh, well, you need to like, you know, think about it this way, or think positive, or do this or do that. And it's like, I'm sorry, you don't understand what a depressive episode is and what that looks like. You know, because even when, you know, back when I didn't know what was happening with me and I was depressed and I didn't know why, you know, because sometimes, there can be situational depression. There could be reasons why someone's depressed, but that's not what was happening with me, you know. And so like people try to like explain away, or they want to like explain away depression because like it's uncomfortable, and you know, or they want to say, oh, well, you're not doing this, or you know, you have to be more positive, or oh, you should exercise, and it's just like, I'm sorry, I can't even get out the bed.
When I heard that, couldn't get out the bed,
not drinking water, not eating, all the things. So you think I'm gonna go outside for a walk? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could do it, I would. You know, and trying to make sure that people don't like view you as lazy because you're not able to function.
And I would say minimize the effect of the illness. I think that's what people do, probably out of their own ignorance, right? I'm gonna say that for folks, to minimize the effects of the illness. And I learned that just from listening, you know, to you, and then knowing you also before at least the onset of the illness. So logic don't work with illness.
No, it doesn't. And it's like,
Logic don't work with illness, right?
It doesn't.
It's for anyone that is experiencing a mental health issue, please just don't let other people influence you. You know, don't let other people bring you down or make you feel or feel judged by something you cannot control. Just try to do the best that you can, get the help that you need. And that's what I would say, because, you know, like I said, I'm super blessed that I have the people around me that I have around me, but I have had to do a lot of correcting and informing my own self, so that people can help me.
And I'm going to laud your courage. Yeah, I am. I mean, you know, your courage to stand up to this and fight it and deal with it and talk about it and everything. And see, that's the Jamila I know. Live and Free Radio, Street Soldiers, Mental Health Month, and we have been here with our guest, Miss Jamila Collins, talking about living with bipolar. They call it disorder or disease, or both, interchangeably.
Mostly disorder, but mostly it's a disease.
Yeah. So. I like disease because that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And Mama, I don't know if you had a chance. This is her mother has joined us. We call her my mother, Rita Collins, who we call Mama Rita. Were you able to listen to any of the first hour with your? Yes, you were.
Yes, I did.
Okay. She's pretty courageous, huh?
Very, very courageous. Much more so than me.
We do some clips from the first show that she came on, and talked about when she first became aware of having symptoms of the illness, and going to you, and you're like, no. How did you feel when you first heard, got the news about what was going on? Do you remember back that far?
Oh yeah, I do, very clearly. I like she said, I didn't want to believe it. I think all of us go through the dark night of the soul type of thing. That I remember Nanny telling me about after my mother died, and I kind of thought maybe she was going through that, after graduating from college, and and that whole amount of energy you have to use, to do your finals and get ready to graduate, and all the energy around that. I just thought she was coming down from all of that, and in a transition period in her life. I didn't want to believe that there was anything else mentally going on. I didn't.
Yeah.
But, at her insistence, and then us talking, me and her father talking to her therapist. I mean, it still took time, though, because denial doesn't, go away overnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we did end up eventually joining this parent group for, young people that were having the bipolar condition.
Yeah.
And so at that point, we started learning more about it, but it's still kind of an ongoing process, and I still have to check myself sometimes. Whenever, she's depressed, I try not to ask her, how are you doing? I try to say, I'm just calling to check in, kind of thing. And, if she is in that state too long, I'll bring over easy stuff for her to eat, make sure she has, water and, near her, and, to just sometimes be with her. But it was definitely a process for us to acknowledge that, this is what she was dealing with, to also try to find out, how do we help her?
I learned, so obviously I learned a lot from her, her conversation on the show in October of 2021. And we're going to play a little bit more from that. And what struck me the most, obviously, was the manic phase of the disease and all that can happen. Because I had no idea all this can actually happen, whether you're, in a manic phase and something else can happen in it. I mean, the depressive phase, I got that. You can't get out of bed. That made a little more sense. But what you went through the manic phase was eye-opening. So we're going to pick it up from there. I don't know when it comes in again, but we'll get to it during this clip.
When the diagnosis became that, oh, Jamila, you're not just depressed, you've got this other part too, and it's bipolar disorder. And so I wanted to just read something that was kind of specific about people who may not understand what bipolar disorder is, and then maybe give just a couple of little notes about it. So I just wanted to read this really quick just to help people kind of understand what it is. So just a quick overview from the National Institute of Mental Health. Bipolar disorder, formerly called manic depressive illness or manic depression, is a disorder that causes unusual shifts in mood, energy, activity levels, concentration, and the ability to carry out day-to-day tasks. There are 3 types of bipolar disorder. All 3 types involve clear changes in mood, energy, and activity levels. These moods range from periods of extremely up, elated, irritable, or energized behavior, known as manic episodes, to very down, sad, indifferent, or hopeless periods, known as depressive episodes. Less severe manic periods are known as hypomanic episodes. And so there's bipolar 1 disorder, where you have a manic episode that lasts at least 7 days, or that your symptoms are so bad you have to go to the hospital. And then if you have a depressive cycle, that's lasting about 2 weeks, or you can have an episode of depression with mixed features, meaning you've got depressive symptoms and manic symptoms all at the same time. And it happens, and it's nuts. It's nuts to not being in control of, for your brain to have control over your body, to not do what you think you need to do. In moments where I'm manic and my brain will not let me go to sleep. It won't happen. And it's a miserable feeling to suffer in that manner, to know that you are walking around doing stuff, but you are exhausted. And no matter what you do, the medicine isn't helping you go to sleep. You're not able to sleep. And there were times when I would feel that way. And I had said, like, I just want to jump off a bridge because I just want this to stop. And not that I would seriously do that, but more so just the thought, like you're suffering so much, not being able to focus and to be in charge of your body and what you're doing. And like just a basic thing like sleep. And it's just not good. I mean, it's just rough. It's just really rough. So like with bipolar disorder, you have like a therapy portion to help deal with it, as well as a medication piece. And then there's like, things you can do to like with health wise, with your eating habits. One thing they tell me is that you have to get like a minimum 6 hours of sleep every night to try to help keep yourself more stable, to allow the medication to like help you. But being that everybody's constitution is different, not the same medicines are going to work for me as someone else that's also diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And you kind of have to take you have to really be committed to trying to figure out what that cocktail is, because it's rough. Like when it was decided that I had bipolar disorder based on my depressive episode and the manic episodes, and they started trying like a mood stabilizer to help me. And at one point they put me on Abilify, and it turned me into a zombie. And that medication actually had me suicidal, where I like was on the phone with my mom crying and just in despair, like, "Mommy, I don't want to be here anymore." And she was like devastated. Like, what do you, and to me, I felt like it was the medication. So I was like, F this. So this is like still within that first 12 months of me having this diagnosis. And so when the whole thing happened where I was like a zombie and wanting to kill myself, I was just like, oh, forget all of this. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the therapy. I'm not doing the medication. We're done. And I just stopped.
Something like, your brain is not in control of your body.
Yeah.
I love that. That statement just says so much. You want
to do something and your body's like, no. No,
Yeah.
seriously. And I don't know if I spoke about it, but when we did when I talked about it in October, I was manic then.
Yeah.
I feel like because I had pressured speech and I was like trying to focus so I could get the words out that I wanted to say.
So you were in a manic state when you did the show?
Yes.
You did good. You did great. You explained it all. I mean, you.
But yeah, like, because I like just watching it again right now, and I could tell where there were moments where the words are flying out of my mouth, and I'm like trying to like stop. I'm trying to bring my brain back to like slow down so that I could say what I'm trying to say. And, yeah.
Mom, you got to hear you do. Look at how do you feel listening to this? And we haven't even got to the manic. Well, I'm going to get to that because you got to hear this. You got to hear just for the information phase. But how do you feel listening to it? Your baby.
God, it's hard. I just remembered back then. I just wanted to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to stay in a state of prayer.
Yeah.
And asking for guidance because I didn't know how to help her, and her dad didn't know how to help her. It was all new to us. And I was fearful for her, and I tried not to stay in a mental state of fear. I wanted to stay in a state of, what do I need to do? What do I need to know? And so I tried to go on a quest for that.
Yeah.
And keep my mind from allowing it to just be in despair, because she needed that support.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the let go and let God and the doctors at that point, right?
Yes,
Right,
yes.
and yeah. Let's see if we can get to that end. I don't know how far it is. Can't be
I
too much
don't know.
further, but I want folks really to hear this.
And so I didn't. I stopped. Like I didn't go to therapy. I wasn't taking medication. Somehow my brain chemistry had me kind of in a hypomanic state where I was still pretty functional. I would have to like watch my shopping, stuff like that. But you know, I was doing okay up until I changed jobs. And then I was depressed for like 2 weeks. But it was still like kind of like out of nowhere. I just got a good job, another job, and I was making more money, but I'm at home not wanting to brush my teeth, not wanting to take a shower, not wanting to change my clothes, not wanting to talk to nobody, like just there, just existing, but not really living. And and so I kind of went on like that for a while. And then I had what was the worst manic episode so far that I've had in my life. And that was in 2005. I didn't sleep for like 2 weeks. I maybe slept in this 14-day period, maybe 12 hours. And I was very still high functioning, but I was really impulsive. I was driving super reckless, but was having fun with it, like not really like and scaring people in the car with me, but not really realize that's what I was doing. I had, for the first time, I had gone to the ER because thought I was having like a heart attack or something, but it was like a panic attack, and I was hearing voices, and I was just like, oh my God, you know. And so my then fiance took me to the ER, and then they didn't keep me because they didn't think I was a danger to myself or anyone else. So came back and they're like, just rest, you know, just rest. And I couldn't sit still. This one particular day when this was happening, I was having a lot of fun, but I was drinking from sun up to sundown to kind of keep the edge off because I was real irritable. And I remember going shopping. I spent like $6,000 in one day. Yeah, I was like in my early 20s buying $600 sheets in Los Altos. Like, what? You know, yeah, I was like, I mean, thankfully at the time I had the money, so it wasn't like I was going into major debt around it. I had just sold my condo and bought another one. And so I happened to have the money, but it was just like, oh yeah, let's go to Gucci, let's go to Louis Vuitton, let's go to the Four Seasons, you know, all of that. And so, so that happened. Oh, went to the jeweler, spent like $3,500 on some rings, and it was just crazy. And so I did this all in one day, and was in San Francisco.
Jamila,
Yes.
did you all in one?
This was within, yeah, like this really bad manic episode I'm talking about, and the examples I'm giving you right now happened in a 24-hour period.
One day. I thought you said one day. I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. Wow.
Yeah. Those things happened within a 24-hour period, and I still wasn't sleeping. So I was like back in the ER because I wouldn't sleep. And they gave me, I was really driving my then fiance. I mean, now that I have looked back and learned about like what I was doing, I was driving him nuts. Him, like, he was like wanting to take care of me, but I couldn't sit down. Like I just couldn't, my brain was not in a place to receive whatever criticisms or anything that was happening at the time. And I think Sheeta was in her senior year of high school when this happened. And me and the then fiance, we were living in Los Altos, and I had left one night because he didn't want to take me to the emergency room because I was again feeling like I was hearing voices, and he was just like, yo, just go to sleep. And I'm like, I can't, like, you know, and he didn't like believe me. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to go I'm going to drive myself to the ER in San Francisco where my family is and get this figured out. So that's what I did. Hopped in the car. It was like 2 a.m, drove from Los Altos to San Francisco Kaiser. They gave me morphine to make me sleep. And then after 6 or 7 hours, they let me go. Because again, they didn't think that I was a danger to myself or anybody else. And so I had gone to my parents' house, and my mom was trying to get me to stay there, but I was like, nope, And it was just a lot. And then
And you're right, it's so much to digest.
yes, it's a lot. I'm telling you, it's like so crazy.
Incredible.
And the then fiance had a brother who also had bipolar disorder that wasn't related to him by blood, but someone in his life. And then he even tried to have this other family of his to try to do an intervention with me. And I was in no place to hear. Like, they wanted me to start taking medication again. And I was like, oh no, not doing that. Nope. So it was just a lot. I was a lot. I didn't realize how I was driving everybody else nuts because they were worried about me. I said some things that wound up ending my relationship. And even like that one of the, so that third day had this really bad, interaction with the then fiance and then someone else that I loved very much. And I really was in my car about to run my car into the median of the freeway. I got back to where I was staying with the fiance or whatever, and I was just drinking like crazy. And I was telling him he needed to come home, but he was like, yeah, not like he wasn't really messing with me. And so I thought he was coming home, but then an hour or so later, he was just still out doing whatever he was doing. And I just got so upset, and I grabbed a knife, stabbed myself all down my arm. And then his actual biological mother, I was talking to her. She sent her husband over to put me in the bed, and they emptied out all the liquor. He made sure that I didn't need to go to the hospital. I had hit any arteries or anything like that with what I did to my arm. And then I eventually went to sleep, but then woke up super early, and my relationship was pretty much over. One of my really good friends was pregnant with twins at the time, and I was telling her what had happened over that 48 hours. And she's like, you need to get away from him. You're driving me nuts. I'm pregnant. It was just a lot. And so my best friend, she came, we packed up all my stuff and out of this place in Los Altos. And I went to the city. I had to, at that point, since I had tried to hurt myself and had made threats about someone else's bodily harm, they didn't make me stay in the hospital, but I couldn't live by myself. So I had to live with my mom and dad back in San Francisco. And I was, clearly not working at that point. And I was going to have to, go back to trying the therapy and the medication and all that. And it was.
Now, if you haven't heard what a manic episode, it's like I did that night. And like you, Mike, my mouth was wide open. Like you,
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah, then you have no control.
No.
Yeah, no control.
No. So then, no, I had no control. I feel like, because back then, it was still very early on. It hadn't even been 2 full years since my diagnosis at that point. And so I was just trying to survive. This was the first time, I didn't know that you could have bipolar disorder and hear voices. But apparently what I was having was a manic episode with psychotic features. And I'm so it's a whole learning process. It was and since then, through therapy and stuff, that's how I learned about even if I am manic, I need to try to sleep for 6 hours. And if I can't, recently, I've been manic within the last couple of weeks, and I'll wake up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, pray I go back to sleep, say I fall asleep about midnight, so I've slept maybe 4 hours, pray I could fall back to sleep. But then it's if I don't fall back to sleep, I try to at least lay in the bed for 5 to 6 hours, so at least my body rests, even though I've not slept. Yeah, because that's part of helping to keep things from going too far, as far as trying to manage the manic episode, because sleep is the biggest thing. So how things got so crazy, and with the psychotic, with the hearing the voices and all of that, there was no sleep. I was not sleeping, and I didn't care that I wasn't sleeping. I was like, oh, let's go do this, let's go do that. I had all this energy, like it was, and a lot of people with bipolar disorder love to be manic because you have a lot of energy. You can have a lot of energy. You can do a whole lot of things in a manic state, provided. But it's like, again, like one of my best friends, I met her when I was manic, and so during this time in 2005, before the really bad manic episode, and she would always say, "Well, I met you, when you were manic, and you were so much fun," and so she would like say, "But I love you when you're manic." Like and after the really bad manic, where I almost could have killed myself 2 or 3 times in one night. After that happened, that's when for me I realized that the mania could be deadly. And it's like, well, yes, you think I was fun then, but I almost killed myself 3 times in 4 hours. And I'm just lucky that it didn't happen, that I didn't actually kill myself. Like, would you be saying, oh, but I met her and she was manic, but I'm dead, So I'm just like, so I had to really like work with her, like, stop saying that you love me when I'm manic, okay? Because mania is nothing to play with.
That's why the information is so important. Did you guys know all of this, any of this about the illness, right? Or that could happen in a manic state? I mean, $6,000. Whoa.
And it could have been more. I didn't make it to Louis Vuitton that day. I wanted to go, but I didn't make it.
Wow. Mom, I tell you this, after hearing this, I'm just so glad you're still here, baby.
I'm glad
I'm so glad you're still here. You have so much love, and I want to say one thing about have I met the gentleman that supports you?
I don't think
it's Julius, right?
Yeah, I don't think
I met him.
No,
because I want to shout that brother. Can we shout him out?
Of course.
I mean, Mom is one. Mom gonna do that. Mom, Dad, they gonna do that. But for the significant other, to go through this with you, can you say a few words about? I ain't saying he's perfect, but can you say a few words about your partner who's with you through all of this?
So just a little tidbit. The story that I told where I was first having my first manic episode.
That's with the prior.
Not the really bad manic episode.
Not the bad,
first one when we were like, oh, you're not just depressed, you have the mania piece too.
Right.
The one that said that I was on DVD times 100.
Yeah.
That was Julius.
That's Julius.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were together in our early 20s, and then we got back together for real. Let's say January 2016. And we've been together ever since, and he's the love of my life. He's always been the love of my life.
Look at that smile.
And, he takes really good care of me. Yeah. He doesn't judge me in my depressions, and doesn't put extra pressure on me because I'm already putting lots of pressure on myself. And but he's amazing.
And I wanted to bring him up because you got to have somebody like that. You can't have somebody who is. So one day I'll meet him, and when I want to tell him myself, thank you for taking care of my baby girl.
No, that's real.
Isn't it? That's real.
So
that's real.
Because you could get very I don't want to say insensitive, but it could come to a point where it's like how you said that night, he was like, just go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be patient, vigilant, understand.
Yes.
the person that you love and what they're going through.
That's what love is for. Love and friendship
Right.
is about. That's
Yeah.
what love and friendship
If you
is
don't
about.
love them, you're not gonna.
And if you're not their friend, I mean,
Right.
that's. I assume you guys are best friends, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what friendship really is. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Mom, how you think she's doing? She gave us an update, and she told me some stuff I didn't know. I didn't know about the fertility stuff, and that. So that came on top of everything else. How are you? I guess you just take the day one day at a time, or
Pretty much.
is that
I'm
how
really
you do
second by second.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a constant state of grief around my fertility situation, and I do the best that I can to still try to be present and smile when I can, and be able to enjoy other moments that are outside of that, even though it's like a loop in my head what I've
Sure.
gone through. So yeah.
What I want to ask, something I was going to ask, just completely. What would you say to the folks out there? And you did this a little bit at the end of the first hour, but as we wrap up, what is your message to the world about bipolar disease, and what would you hope to happen? And those who are also, who also suffer from the disease, what would you say to them?
Okay, so those that suffer like I suffer, continue to just don't stop. Don't stop. Keep trying to do better. Keep trying to get better. Get in therapy, stay in therapy. Take your medication. And then as far as my message to the world around bipolar disorder, you think you know, but you have no idea.
Yeah.
that would be what I would say.
Yeah.
And please try to be in a place of non-judgment,
That's what I was gonna ask.
because
Yeah.
again, there are other mental illnesses
Yes.
other than bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And I feel like anyone that is dealing with any type of illness that you can't see,
That you can't see. I like that. That you physically with
you
your eyes.
have to still just not be judgmental. Like, that's just the biggest thing. Listen to learn, listen to understand. Don't listen to respond or to try to fix, because you can't fix it. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Mom, from the family, you echo what are your thoughts about that?
Right. She's right. I'm listening to her, in the moment of things have been more helpful than me trying to fix it. I come out of a way of doing things without medication. I use herbs and things and food and stuff to stay healthy, and that just didn't work for this. And I had to get out of my own way and, be open-minded to what she actually was going through and what she needed to do. And then whenever I start learning about it, then I realized too that if she wants to go to therapy and if she wants to take the medicine and have the support group, those are all good things to help her manage her condition.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned to let her have the faith that she knew what was best for herself as she was dealing with this condition. And but still, on a day-to-day basis, you have to have your mind open for it, because, like she said, the fertility part and everything was an added, stressor.
Stressor, yes.
And so with that and everything too, was also a learning journey for us together, as me, as her mother, and her as she was going through this, And thank God, her dad, he's very supportive. I have him to talk to. We have each other to kind of lean on and talk this out and stuff. Because, of course, the frustration of it. And when you can't do anything, I just cry. But I can't stay in that state long run. So
I told her the other day on the phone, Mom, if I had a magic wand, I'd wave it. I'd be like, boom, be gone, right?
Right.
But it doesn't work like that. So all I can do is love her, right? All I can do is love her and support her.
And she knows. I have this song that I love, Regina Bell, called "If I Could."
Yeah.
And that song expresses a lot of how I feel.
Yeah.
And she knows, because I have played it a couple of times to let her know how, I am, totally open to what you need. Just help guide me as your mom,
Yeah. Well, thank you both. Thank you, honey. Got the update. Thank you for your courage. I applaud your courage.
Yes.
And wanting to share, and because you taught me so much, and you're teaching others so much about this. Come on, medical community, get on your horse, doc, and come up with something. keep doing your research.
How do you, real quick?
Yeah.
How do you, because you seem like a person that don't want sympathy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you tell your testimony, do you like? I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to ask. Basically, when you tell your testimony, do you sometimes sense people acting? Do they act different towards you, or do you just try to let them know, like, don't do anything differently when you're dealing with me, or just be sensitive to what I'm going through, or
I think that,
because you seem like, because you told your story, and that, like you said, that takes a lot of courage, but at the same time, you don't seem like the person, like you said, like you was like, you wouldn't believe what I've been through.
right.
So I wouldn't take it like you want, like, people to, like,
You don't hear the woe with me coming from
right.
me. I know what you're looking for.
But at the same time,
No.
it's like wow. It's like I can't help but, like, be aware and conscious of just, whatever you're going through. Because like you said, I can't fix it. I don't know.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think that for the most part, like, it's not like I've done it this way, on the airwaves
Yeah.
and
Right.
the internet.
Yeah.
So I haven't really I've had people, reach out to me to say, that you were so brave, or even though I don't feel brave, but I'll take it. You have to take, people are trying to give you compliments, you accept them and appreciate it.
Right.
But no one has, as far, like I said, the people that are in my day-to-day, they're just in my day-to-day, and they,
Right.
and they kind of know what's up,
Right.
It's not like I have spoken to, like, I don't know, maybe 100, people, and just told the story, and then had people come up to me and say stuff, or like if they were people in my life that all of a sudden are acting differently now because they know this information. So I haven't had that.
Okay, gotcha.
Haven't had that
Okay,
experience.
gotcha. Okay.
But if I did, I would tell them, please don't treat me any different.
Right.
And my only issue, like I said, it's the depressive episodes are so bad. They're so bad, and I know that over time, and people I have run into have tried to tell me, try to mansplain, if that's the word, but
some kind of splain.
some type of splain.
Some kind of splain.
You know what depression is and what I need to do to fix it.
Yeah. They're gonna tell you, that
I don't do well with.
Right.
And I'm like, please don't try to.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to kind of ask. Like, do people like try to be like, you know, like,
if only you did this,
I know this. Yeah.
So
exactly.
so if I come across anyone and they're on that, I correct them real quick.
Got you.
You don't need them.
And it's like you can believe whatever you want to believe, but you don't put that on me and don't judge me. And I just kind of leave it at that.
Got you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Well said. Okay. Woo. First week of Mental Health Month. Couldn't think of a better way to kick it off. Thank you for coming on, honey, one more time and updating us.
Thanks for having me.
Won't be the last time. You know, we're going to keep going. And awareness is the perfect word for this Mental Health Awareness Month. Mama, I'll see you soon, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, we'll see you soon. And we're out of here, everybody. We'll see you next week right here, Alive and Free Street Soldiers. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Love you. All right. We did it.
You did that.
Okay, we're leaving now.
You got to come to the golf tournament.
When's the